I finished the second Chronicles of the Avatar book and I want to talk about it a little. Shadow of Kyoshi is Kyoshi's second book. This one was FCE's sequel to his first Avatar outing, The Rise of Kyoshi. This is going to be a spoiler-free review of this book, but this really is the conclusion of all the events from that first book, so fair warning, I'll need to make some quick references to the structure and characters of that first book. I liked Shadow of Kyoshi. That said, it was nowhere near as good as Rise of Kyoshi was. Rise felt like you were following Kyoshi throughout her life, going from event to event with a North Star type goal leading her the whole time. Shadow, on the other hand, felt more like a retelling of one major event in her life. I'll start off with the things I liked. This book strikes a great balance between Avatar-level problems and political drama, each fueling each other. I love the political drama piece in this book. Yi used a little we know about the history of Avatar worlds to play it up, and for the most of the story, I had no idea who was going to come out on top. Secondly, and probably the thing most Avatar fans will love the most, is that Yi had some very fun and creative bending. I won't get into it for the sake of spoilers, but there are some earth-bending feats akin to lightning and blood bending. Stuff I'd never thought of having a bender do, but that makes sense that they could do it. For things I didn't like, this book felt like it had a really solid first draft that an editor absolutely hated and demanded a ton of changes to. Looking at the story as a whole, it really early on sets up an intrapersonal dilemma for Kyoshi from a fear she has. The book later puts her in a position to face this fear, either to beat it or realize that it was justified, but it doesn't fully commit to either. With how brutal Yi was to his characters in the first book, as soon as the situation presented itself, I was getting ready for the worst, only to be met by things going kind of bad, not bad enough where there's any real consequence. In the same vein, the final battle had, well, I can't call it a Deus Machina because it didn't really contribute to the final battle, but it had some weird additions. Like I said, it didn't contribute one way or the other, didn't have any mental effect on either protagonist or antagonist, and also it felt so far out of left field it really wasn't justified and unearned. With the structure of the book, there was a few interlude chapters that happened sporadically throughout the whole story. I didn't know why these were introduced the way they were, and I didn't really like how they were utilized. It felt like Yi wanted another shifting point of view cat and mouse game, like how the first book had between Jianzhu and Kyoshi. But these interludes actually detract from the main story overall in the sense of mystery. The rest of the book actually reads like it was written without these chapters and that they were later forced in last minute. Yi dropped his predictable chapter setup from the first book that was 2 chapters of drama immediately followed by 2 chapters of action, and it works well for this story. All in all, I'll give the book a 7. I'll likely read it again a few times, but it's not a guarantee reread like Rise of Kyoshi was.